Yo, what's up, Hot Wheel homies? It's Dotsaman Diecast here. Have you ever just had something for a little while, some kind of electronic device or a tool or anything, and just, you've been using that and you're like, this thing just kind of sucks or is not working right, and then you realize you've been using it wrong the whole time? I just got a microphone for podcasts. I actually just bought it from Walmart. And it's a really nice one, but I was being a guy, and I'm not being sexist or anything, because I'm talking down on guys right now, because we don't read directions for the most part. I've gotten better over the years about reading directions, but I just kind of jump into it and like, this is easy, I'm just going to put this together, whether it becomes a table, a chair, some kind of crappy IKEA stuff, which I hate. But anyways, it goes back to my microphone. I just was speaking into it incorrectly. It shows you right on the directions. I found the box today, I pop it open, and look at the directions real quick. I'm like, oh, I've been using this thing wrong. And now that I have it face the right direction, because granted, it is kind of confusing. I don't even think it shows you how to do it on the box. But granted, it sounds much better, and I'm glad that I read the directions. So this podcast is not about that. I just had to talk about that because I was just in the process of adjusting my microphone correctly. So anyways, what's up, guys? Hope you're all having a fantastic Saturday. I just been dying to do a podcast today. It's been a really busy day. Cleaning the house up. Kimber and I went Hot Wheel hunting today. She bought some clothes. I can't remember whether I bought clothes or not, but Target was having 20% off on clothes. Definitely we're not having 20% off on Hot Wheels, nor did they have any Hot Wheels for me to purchase. So, yeah, I don't think I bought any. No, I did. I think I did buy one. I don't know. It's all a blur, as you guys know. When you're Hot Wheel hunting, you're like, when did I find that treasure hunt? Was that last week or last year? You just kind of lose track of what you find, but you're always excited when you find it. So today, I'm talking about joy, and the joy that this community of Hot Wheels collectors, diecast collectors, and what the hobby brings me, and how it all kind of started. I'll tell you how I got started and all that stuff, because I don't think I've touched that on the podcast. I think JDC was asking me about it. I have touched on it in some videos or live streams on YouTube. I don't know. But basically, it's kind of like, when I think back on it, I've always loved cars, but I didn't really get into cars until I was able to drive. But, there's younger kids out there nowadays that know all about cars. They could probably get in a car and drive them, but there's no one else in my family, my whole entire family, even extended family, really. Maybe super extended family, but no one that loves cars, and I wasn't around them very much, so until I met people that were around them and loved them, and I think a lot of you can agree with this. You meet other people that are into diecast or cars or whatever, and you get into it too because they're excited about it and you're excited about it. So I started out with just, a couple handfuls of Hot Wheel cars, some Matchbox, whatever, and they're all hand-me-downs. I don't think I got anything new. Like I said before, we didn't have a ton of money growing up. It's not like we were poor by any means. I always had everything that I needed. But I wasn't smothered with a bunch of toys. I wasn't smothered with material things like, we always appreciated what we got for Christmas. And it was a very exciting time, But, I would play with these beat-up Hot Wheels. And, my first one was one of my first cars I still have. And I've actually modified. I wheel swapped it and clear coated it so it stayed safe. But it's a Baja Breaker from 1978 or something like that. And I've got this little split window Corvette. This has a really cool paint job that goes up and down in the back. You can kind of rake it out. and I did a wheel swap, and I clear coated that car too to protect it, just to make sure that, the paint didn't flake off, and it just looked better after I was done with it. So those are 2 cars I still have. And, I think recently found a Cruella de Vil car that has like the sparkle flames on it, or just sparkle paint job on it, and that's a super old car too, and that's one of my first cars that I just have memories of rolling these cars down the hallway and just having a blast for hours with Hot Wheels. I never had a track, had very little remote control cars and stuff like that growing up, but I always took joy in the simple toys, the simple things, and my imagination. Just playing with G.I. Joes. You could give me a rock, you could give me a couple sticks to play with. I'd build something out of it. So, if you're a parent, which I am not, I would encourage you to have your kids play with things that they can use their imagination with, and not sit in front of the TV and play video games for hours and hours, Call of Duty, blowing people's heads off and stuff like that. I don't think that's very conducive to, kids and their minds and growing up and everything. I think kids need to be kids and get outside and drink out of the hose and just, feel the green grass, the feeling of that on your bare feet. Back in the day we had the big wheels, riding those, and just like we knew where our homies were because all the bikes are that person's house. It's not like that anymore, and it's a bummer. But it can be like that. It doesn't have to be the way that it is. There's just a lot of different areas where kids can go play with each other and be kids. But I don't know where I went way off. Man, you got me talking all crazy, man. So you get like Hewitts. Man, I don't sound like. Man, come on, Mark. I don't sound like Elvis Presley. What do your impersonation's terrible, man. Your impersonation. So, anyways, I don't know where I was going, but I was just the joy of playing with simple things that you had to use your imagination with. And I think that's so important for kids and even adults. Look at all you customizers out there that customize these Hot Wheels. You guys have crazy imaginations. And I love people that can think outside the box, use your imagination, and I think it all kind of stems from really just pushing your mind and like opening up new avenues and just being creative. And I think anyone can be creative. Everyone has different strong suits. Me, I like to polish cars. It brings me a lot of calmness and joy to strip a paint off of a car and do like a 9-step process of polishing it to where you can see yourself in the mirror. To me, that calms me down. There's something about modifying cars that calms me down. So just, this episode's about, things that bring you joy and things that calm you down. So, there's some things, of course, in the diecast community that, calm you down. There's some that hype you up and get you all excited and mad, scalpers and people making messes in stores and people just being rude, or people, trying to make a bunch of money like that aren't necessarily, they're raffling and stuff online, but forget all about that. Let's talk about things that bring you joy, that just make you happy and that bring you calmness, because there's that balance in life that where you don't want to get into diecast too much where you forget about your family, and friends. So family first, always, and then your hobbies next, diecast next. But it is, of course, it's awesome to be able to share that with family members if you can, if they're interested, and maybe you can get them interested, Like I said in my last podcast, I'm trying to get Kimber to modify a car. And then we also came up with an idea of a 10-minute custom. So we're going to do that soon enough. You got 10 minutes flat to make a custom car, and that's it. So, no cheating or anything like that. We're going to make that video soon. and that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, if you have family members or friends that can share your joy in a hobby such as this diecast, it's great. And you can always make new friends. You can't necessarily make new family, but you can always make new friends. And when you meet that right person, whether it be someone you never even met in your life, your friends become family, and you guys can share that together. And this diecast community is a family. So I wonder how many times I said family this whole time. But anyways, getting off track. Just when I was growing up, played with cars, Hot Wheels. Never collected them. Never really bought them much. But once I became a big fan of cars, I always liked cars. I've always liked toys. I always loved remote control cars. I got some of those for Christmas. I did some model. I remember one of my first models that I did wasn't even a car. It was a B-52 bomber. And that was like one of the funnest projects to put one of those together. Very frustrating. If you have kids, have them do a model car. It'll teach them patience, and you can help them, and you guys can bond on that. And eventually, your kids could be modifying Hot Wheels, because it's much easier to modify a Hot Wheel than it is to do a lot of those models. You got that little glue gun you're pushing down. So a lot of that stuff you can still use today on the Hot Wheels. But so yeah, I didn't get into Hot Wheels till later on in life, just a few years ago, and I can't even tell you when exactly it happened. But I can tell you my love of cars has been there since I was about 15, 16 years old, and I could start driving. My first car was my dad gave me. It was my grandpa's truck. He bought it 1 year old. It was a 1971 F100 short bed, 3 on the tree, 302. If you can drive that, if you can learn how to drive on that, you can drive anything. Very stiff, crazy clutch on that thing. And very weird to have it was 3 on the tree means column shifter for a stick, though. So you're shifting up on the tree. Very difficult to race that. Of course, I still figured it out and got myself into some trouble. Man, when I was like 16, I was driving that thing. My buddy had a Durango, probably like 2000, and we lined up. We're downtown. We're going to race each other, F100 versus Durango. And if you've ever driven a super old car, it doesn't have power steering. The wheel was still turned to the left that I didn't realize when I pulled up to the line. So I had punched it and jumped over into his lane and hit his fender and damaged the Durango, his parents' Durango. So I had to pay that back, and that was about a $900 repair back in 2000 or whatever, 2001. So you make mistakes and you learn from it. My parents were good about it. I got in trouble. I got grounded, but it's not like I had to go out to the tree and get a switch off the tree. But no, my parents were always pretty good at disciplining me growing up, and it's a total blessing to have my parents. I love them to death. Incredible people, especially I love my mom and dad equally. It's great having like a father figure though in your life. So I'm blessed to have a father figure, a father that, will take a bullet for me, that'll jump in front of a train for me, and that I know loves me more than anything else. It's just not everybody has that. So if you have that in your life, know that there's a bunch of other people that don't have that, and be grateful of the blessing of that in your life. If you have good parents, not everybody has the opportunity to have that. My mom lost her parents at 17 to a drunk driver, so they went to the store and never came back. I'm not trying to get real drab and sad here, because my mom's an incredible woman. She was able to forgive that person, that woman that hit my grandparents and took them out. Never got to meet them, but she was able to forgive them fairly quickly and move on with her life. And of course it's sad. Saw a picture of my grandpa today, and I could see my eyes and his eyes that I look like him. So And we'll just deviate for 1 second. Let's talk about that. For anyone that thinks it's cool or funny, or anyone that drinks and drives, it's not, because I don't have grandparents because of that. I never got to meet them. My mom lost her parents at 17 years old because somebody just had too much to drink that night. So, quick side note, if that's you, if you think it's funny, or, because I hear people joking about it, like, oh man, I don't even know how I got home, so tanked. It's just like, I want to inflict physical violence on them, of course, when I hear that stuff. But I forgive that person too, but just don't drink and drive, side note. So I'll move on. I'm not trying to bring this podcast down, but I talk about serious stuff in my life. I'm an open book. I enjoy telling you guys about my life and how I got here, to diecast and being a wannabe comedian all the time, on my channel. But so basically, I grew up with cars, and then Fast and the Furious came out, and I can honestly say all the jokes that we make, family, no, Monica, I'm in your face, all that stuff, was really eye-opening for me. Wow, there's a lot of cool cars, a lot of cars I didn't know about, the RX-7, the Supra, all that stuff, so I got really excited about especially import cars and everything once that movie came out. So that the truck was my first vehicle, but the second first car that I consider my car that I purchased for $700 was a 1980 Chevy Malibu. And that was a V6 automatic. That was a cool car. I think that car was cursed, though. I blew an engine up in it after my senior project, putting a 355 Chevy that I had put in myself and modified and put the TH350 transmission in and all that. 4-barrel carb, Holly. But I learned a lot with that car. I had some help putting that engine in, and the guy who kind of buttoned up a couple of things on it, he rebuilt the engine and then we put it in. But I had rebuilt one when I went off to school. I went to Universal Technical Institute down in Phoenix to become a technician, and so I do have an associate's degree in automotive. But he didn't tighten down the oil control or the oil pressure sensor on the back of the engine. He didn't tighten it down. It popped off. I was on the freeway, and the engine just seized. It blew up, and yeah, I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I cried when I got the car home and everything, because you spend so much time and effort and you're so excited. I went from, I don't know if anybody of you, I know some of you have felt this, or maybe I'm just weird, but when I've gotten in cars that I've purchased, or fast cars, or things that are really cool, my foot shakes with excitement. I'm giddy. So when I got in that car, I fired it up, got the 3-inch Flowmasters on that thing, and all of a sudden, it's just you go from that high of shaking because you're so excited. I did the same thing when I got my ISF, my Lexus ISF, and then definitely when I got my GTR, which is my dream car. I was just shaking with excitement. And you go from that high of joy to absolute low of blowing the engine up. Really helps you grow up quick too, because then I had to leave that car and go off to school and think about it the whole time. But my goal was just to learn how to work on the cars and get back and fix it, and I did. I got back home from school and I put another used engine in there, a 350. And then this guy bought it from me. Eventually, I decided to move on from it. And he blew it up on his drive home because I think he was in second gear the whole time. It was a 3-speed. So, TH350. So he blew it up. He had no clue on cars. He just... And then, he drove it and he blew it up and then he wanted to give it back to me. And there was nothing wrong with that car ever. I never had any issues with it after I put the used motor in, the engine. And then, he threatened to come to my family's house with a baseball bat if I didn't give him his money back because he knew where I lived. So it goes back to family and making sure your family's safe. Of course I could have gone toe-to-toe with that guy and violence and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I didn't live at my parents' house at the time, so I'm not going to, my mom's home alone and stuff, I'm not going to jeopardize somebody coming to my house and messing with my family. So I just gave him his money back. You just become a man at that point where you kind of get past being so mad and wanting to fight somebody and all that stuff and just realize what is most important. Is me getting in a fight with this guy or should I just give him, or do I give him his money back for, talk to him, forgive him and move on? My dad was able to talk to the guy later on and talk some sense into him. He's like, do you realize what you did? You threatened to come to our house and, with a baseball bat and, I think the guy kind of realized he's just really out of control and, stepped over the line fully for that. But he was able to see that we were, my family and we were kind to him and we showed him grace and we moved on. And that car, eventually I sold it for penny. It was a full circle thing. I put so much money into that car and then sold it for $700, what I originally purchased it for. But it was a major learning lesson. After that, I really haven't lost money on cars. And, with all the deals, I've had tons of cars. I've had 6 Datsun 510s. I've had 4 Datsun Zs. I've had 2 87 Corolla FX16 GTSs. One with the 20-valve blacktop ITBs. I've had a lot of Datsuns, but I've had a Celica down at school. I blew the engine up in that thing. It was a matter of just it having 300-something thousand miles on it, but I drove it like I stole it every time. When we got out of school, we called it the UTI 500 because there's all these young kids that are going crazy and driving home. Just racing each other on the highway. Everyone's just in these little Civics. It's these little pooter pipes on their cars, and everyone's racing. So that brings me into another story because I might as well talk about it because I'll forget to talk about it later on. So I told my parents eventually what happened. But so one day when we got out of school, and it was the UTI 500 basically, where everybody gets their car and everyone starts drive into the freeway and then it's on, So I definitely wasn't trying to race anybody, but so I'm driving my 84 Celica GT hatchback and get onto the freeway. I then realize I'm running out of gas. I'm on EE. I'm there's 4th tank, there's 1/8 tanks, and then there's you're broke. So being a broke college kid, I had some money with me, so I was just trying to get off the freeway. Even though I just got onto the freeway, I was trying to get to the first exit and get off and get some gas, so I didn't run out of gas. So I started driving fast. I started kind of weaving through traffic. I have this car that's just right behind me, tracking with me. I'm oh, who's this idiot? It's somebody's trying to race me, the UTI 500, kid from school. So I'm weaving through traffic, not driving crazy, but definitely trying to get to the next exit and driving fast. Probably it was and this is in Arizona, by the way, Phoenix, Arizona, from Avondale to Phoenix. So I lived there for a couple of years. And so I'm weaving through traffic. Finally, I'm driving the police lights come on, boop, and it's light me up. I have to get off the freeway. There's no shoulder. Use the loudspeaker. Get off the freeway, dummy. It just okay. So I have to get off the freeway, off the exit, and yeah. So it was a female officer. She had me put the keys on the roof, get out of the car, put me in the back of the cop car. I think it was State Patrol. I can't remember. And she was good. She was telling me all these like violations. I cut her off. I was doing this. I'm taking you to jail. Like, I was like, my whole life was flashing in front of me. I was thinking about the phone call to my parents back home. To, I don't know, like that one phone call you get. Like, I probably wouldn't have called them, but so I'm talking to her. She's telling me I'm going to go to jail. I'm pretty sure I'm going to jail. And I'm telling her, like, I didn't, I'm running out of gas. I give her the story. It was legitimate. I wasn't racing or driving, like, I wasn't driving terribly. I wasn't driving good, though. But I told her I can't afford to get this. I'm going to school to be a mechanic. This is going to ruin everything. So, and then I would pay thousands of dollars, or I'd pay everything to remember what I said to her, because she was so angry. She was shaking mad. I would pay a lot of money to remember what I said to her that made her just bust up laughing, and her whole attitude changed, and she gave me a warning. She gave me an expired insurance ticket, and then she sent me on my way and told me to, like, knock it off, stop driving like that. And so that all stemmed from that. But yeah, I mean, when you're into cars and you're a kid, you do some dumb things, but you learn from it, and it was pretty funny story. But I mean, I would love to know what I said to her, because I cannot remember for the life of me what I said to make her laugh and change her tune, because she was taking me to jail. I'm positive I was going to jail. So yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, back to joy and things that calm you down, it's just find what you love. Don't let anybody rain on your parade. Don't let people harass you or tell you you're dumb, or that collecting cars are for kids, because we all know tricks aren't for kids. They're for adults. Hey man, tricks are for kids. And I'm like, nah man, they're for adults. And that's why I eat kicks, or tricks, kicks and tricks. Anyways, it's late. It's 10:30 p.m. I'm going to bed. I'm doing a podcast before I go to bed, because I just wanted to get one out here to you guys to cover some of the stuff. But yeah, do what brings you joy. I always encourage you guys to start something that you're talking about doing, If you're going to do this, or I'd love to do this someday, I'd love to go around a track in a car or whatever, just make it happen, Set your goal and get it done, and sometimes things change in life and you get directed, different places, but don't forget, that you need like a good hobby, and you need something to do that brings you joy in life. I mean, there's so many other things that bring you joy too, like your family and friends. But it's really nice to have something like diecast, or, modifying cars, or collecting cars and organizing them and all that. So I just encourage you guys to just to push and, to try new things, to try modifying cars, go hunting, go out, find some cars. Don't get super frustrated when you can't find anything, because there's gonna be those times you can't find squat. Like I went out today and I found some cool cars. I found a box set, new Mercedes box set at Walmart, local disappointment, and I found 2 Supras Mark IVs, Auto World black ones. So the rest, there was no basics on the shelf, so there's none. But yeah, don't get super discouraged when you can't find stuff. I mean, that's the cool thing about, like, if you modify cars. I mean, me sitting down and polishing cars, stripping them off, or wheel swapping, all that stuff, that can be so relaxing. And usually when I go down and, like, visit Honest Diecast, Derek, we sit there and we modify cars, and we don't even say anything to each other, but we're just next to each other doing what we love. And there's just something really cool about that, and to be able to have that, like, that bond, and him teaching me how to modify cars and everything is super, super cool. And I'm honored to to learn, some of my skills from Derek, and I'm honored to teach people some things that I learned, and it's all full circle. It's like, it's really cool. I mean, JDC was saying who got him into, modifying cars and collecting cars, and then, he's inspired others to do so, and do maybe some of the jacked up cars, the, Mad Max type of cars, and that normally wouldn't do it. But, if you've thought about customizing cars or collecting cars or racing cars, don't worry about what people have to say about any of that. Just do it, enjoy it, and it'll bring you joy. I guarantee it. If you're into cars, if you're into diecast, race them, modify them, collect them, do whatever. There's a ton of different things you can do out there. There's all kinds of people to support you, to grow, to become better. So I just encourage you, like I always say, I don't know who it is that needs to hear this, but you need to step up and do what you want to do, and don't worry about what anyone else has to say about it. So, it's just, we as a whole, as a community, believe in you, and I'm never going to tear anybody down for doing what they love, even if they're not necessarily good at it to start out with, or ever. That's not what it's about. We're not, we're not all out here modifying cars to make a living. I'm not doing this podcast to make a living. I'm not doing YouTube to make a living. I'm doing it because it's something I love, and it brings me joy, and it brings me peace. So it's really an awesome community. I just got some gifts. I just posted a video on an unboxing from Sammy, Eddie, and Big A, Adrian. And it just consistently blows me away on people's, I don't call them random act of kindness, Rayak or whatever, like people do. I call them acts of kindness. That's all it is. It's an act. It's people know what they're doing. I think more random act of kindness, I think, is more like somebody behind you at McDonald's, you buy their meal or whatever. That's like super random to me. But when it comes to like taking making a custom, taking all that time and then sending it to someone, that's definitely not a random act of kindness. It's just an act of kindness, and I fully accept it, and I love it. So I thank you guys, Sammy, Eddie, and Big A. I know you guys are probably listening to this. If you're not, shame on you. I'm just kidding. If you're not listening, that's all good. I know we've just talked about, JDC and I in the last podcast talked about time, and you got to make sure you got time for your family and the important things in life before spending all of it online or commenting on people's videos or making too much content and not having enough time with your family, your wife, your girlfriend. I don't know, maybe even your dog, or maybe you got pet snakes like Derek. If you like snakes, then just hit Honest Diecast up. He has snakes. And, I've never thought about getting snakes before. It's not something... I've thought about the movie Snakes on a Plane, one of my favorite movies. No, that's definitely not one of my favorite movies. I don't know. I just went from talking about diecast to Snakes on a Plane. I'm not sure how I got there so quickly. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you listening to these podcasts. These podcasts can't talk, are great in general. For me, I love doing it. It calms me down. It's like Fast and Furious. There's something about cars that calm me down. It's like, for me, it's like there's something about podcasts that calm me down, man. So I enjoy doing it. I was really encouraged today. I was listening to the radio, and a guy is on the radio, and he has a stutter. And he talks about it. He kind of starts out with I have a condition, and it causes me to stutter. So you don't have to have the perfect speaking voice, or you don't have to be the perfect person. Like, he has a stutter that didn't hold him back from doing a radio show. And he's a very talented person. He's written a lot of music and worked with some really awesome artists and stuff. And he's got a good voice. He just has a stutter. Who cares? We all have our own faults, and whether it be physical or mental or whatever. But come as you are. We'll accept you. In the diecast community, awesome people. They don't care what you look like, sound like, act like. Just be respectful, and ask questions, and just be kind. And you're going to have no issues making friends in the diecast community. I encourage. I'll talk quickly on this because it's just for some of the bigger channels out there. I don't know if you guys deal with the same thing I do sometimes. But I'm on Instagram. I'm fairly accessible on Instagram, emails and stuff like that. I have a busy life outside of having time to do a podcast and make videos and all that. I have a busy real life. So if you blow me up with messages like crazy on Instagram or emails and I don't respond right away, I'm not blowing you off. That's not happening. It's just I have a life. Don't get angry. Don't give me any attitude that I saw your message and I didn't respond. We're all adults here, So there's, it's just I'm just a person just like you are. So I'm not famous. I'm not anything like that. But I know it's exciting to like message people and and all that stuff. But we're all like anyone on YouTube, whether they have 500 or 200 subscribers or 500 or whatever, we're all busy people. We all have crazy lives, and just give people some grace and some space. Give them grace and space. All right. This podcast has all kinds of different things. Grace and space. So yeah, sometimes guys, just give me some grace and some space. If I don't reply to your comment right away, or your instant message, or whatever, however you try to get a hold of me, I'm not ignoring you. If it's something like I said I'd send you something, I've got it written down, or maybe give me a gentle reminder if I haven't set something out yet. But just be really kind and grace and space. All right, guys? So I love you guys. Thank you for listening to this. Like I always say, you could be doing anything else right now, but you're listening to this podcast. So I appreciate it. And I'm going to get some sleep. Might do some hunting tomorrow. Found some cool stuff today. And remember, if you find anything out there diecast related and something that you're looking for, something that you enjoy, if you find one thing when you're out hunting, you won. You did good. You don't have to find everything at once. You don't have to score some big haul, It's fun to watch those videos. Sometimes we all have the big hauls where we're like, oh man, I couldn't lose. I found everything. But, and sometimes you don't find anything, but that's just the name of the game. That's the hunt. It's fun, It's like a treasure hunt, It's like your Captain Sparrow or One-Eyed Willie, So keep your heads up, guys. Love you. I hope you took something good away from this. In the comments, put what your first car was. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on YouTube, tell me what your very first car was, and tell me what your favorite car is. What your favorite car is. And like I said, mine was a 1980 Malibu. Is what I purchased, bought myself. I encourage any parent as well to have their kid buy their first car and have them have kind of a junker. They don't need a BMW or an Audi A4 or something like that. They don't need that. But and then favorite car, man, don't get me started on that. But yeah, it's just Porsche GT3 RS or McLaren F1. If you're a true car guy, it's really hard to narrow down what your favorite car is. But favorite obtainable car would probably be either GTR or GT3 RS. So everyone have a blessed week. blessed weekend. I may do another podcast tomorrow. Who knows? Life happens. You'll get one when you get one. I encourage everyone to hit the bell on YouTube and hit all notifications so you can see these come up if you like them. You'll see that I have something posted, and you can check out my new podcast. So, love you guys. Later. Peace out, my Hot Wheel homies.